Detroit Lions fans, we got some breaking news. And why is it breaking news? Because I said it's breaking news. And that is according to Adam Schefter. We heard this already, but according to Adam Schefter, says, as skeptical as some might be, sources believe Aidan Hutchinson will have a realistic chance to return for the Lions if Detroit is able to advance that far. Now, we did hear Dan Campbell. He talked about it at the press conference about how he would never count Hutch out. And we actually heard shortly after it happened, like Monday, Tuesday, that Aidan Hutchinson could come back. Now, we didn't want to jump the gun and say that it was going to happen because the recovery time on the short side is 4 months. 4 months from right now, we're talking about Super Bowl. It would be a little less. It would be 4 months almost exactly from the injury. Now, of course, I don't want this kid to play if there's any risk of him being injured any further. If it's any risk for further injury, if he's not healthy, I do not want him to play. It is not worth it. But knowing Aidan Hutchinson, he said he would rise from the ashes. He said he would redeem himself. This sounds like, and Dan Campbell said it, this sounds like that's something Hutch would do. Getting kind of emotional, man. This sport, this game is so much more than the game they play on the field. Could you imagine? Hutch, somebody said it on Twitter or something I was reading. They said they wouldn't be surprised if Hutch was to come back and Lions get to the Super Bowl, they win the Super Bowl, and Aidan Hutchinson is MVP. You're talking about a storybook ending to a tragic situation. Here's Adam Schefter continues in an article. Says, sources close to Hutchinson believe that the Lions' standout defensive end will have a realistic chance to return if the Lions make it to the Super Bowl. We get that far. One source went as far as to tell ESPN that knowing Hutchinson and his injury, it would be surprising if he did not make it back for a potential Super Bowl appearance than if he did. So let me get this straight. You're saying that the source close to Hutchinson believes that they would be more surprised if he didn't make it back for that push in that Super Bowl than if he did. And that's fantastic. Again, don't want anything to happen to this young man if it's going to further his injury or worsen his injury. Now, I did see, I want to read this. We talked about Zadarius Smith and Josh Uche and those guys coming in to help alleviate some of the stress from Aidan Hutchinson. But here's the good news, and this is why this whole thing could happen. Hutchinson did not suffer, and I saw this from Jeremy Albert Breer this morning. Hutchinson did not suffer any ligament, nerve, or artery damage, only the broken bones, before having a rod inserted in his leg. As bad as the injury was, Hutchinson was considered to be fortunate to be in the place he was at the time he was. And he's 24, leads the NFL in sacks heading into week 7. And the reason that they said that is because he was within 3 hours, he was in surgery. And there's like a renowned surgeon. The hospital he went he couldn't have been in a better hospital. The surgeon that dealt with his mate performed the surgery, he couldn't have had a better surgeon. He was in the right place at the right time with the wrong injury. And the good news, and again, if we look at, I believe Alex Smith had a similar injury. His was much, much worse. His was I just don't even want to talk about it, but his was life-threatening. I can't remember if it was a compound fracture, but it was horrific. It was very similar to Joe Theismann. So this is great news. Here's what I believe. With hardware in your body, you heal faster. You do heal faster. It's one of the reasons they put it in, but you heal faster. So if Hutch is a monster, he is a monster, and you're talking about a driving force to come back. The injury was a week ago tomorrow. That's 7 days. Somebody even said that he was able to walk. Now, what I found out, I think I knew this already, but the Detroit Lions on Tuesday sent him a private jet to bring him home. And later in the week, I guess he was already walking. So this is not out of the question. You heard it from Dan Campbell. You heard it from sources. We didn't want to jump the gun, even though the sources in his family was like, I can see this guy. I guess, they must have got the word from the doctor. Like, this is the description, the severity of it, it could have been much, much worse, but it wasn't. And that is a great thing. No ligaments, because don't forget that bone is sharp when it breaks. So it could have done massive damage, and even protruded through the skin, right? Which I've had happen to me. It's not a good thing. Not thankfully. I'm going to just tell y'all a little bit of a story about, I think, why this resonates with me so powerful. So you guys know I broke my femur twice. I broke my left femur twice. Once I was hit by a car. Once I was playing football. So the first time, the bone came through the skin, but it didn't rip anything. I don't even know. To this day, I wonder, how did they put it back in? They did not put a rod in my femur. I was in traction for 6 weeks. I was in a partial body cast for 6 months, and my leg to this day is still not the same. The second time it happened, I was 14 playing football, and it was backyard football. So we tackling, no nothing on, right? So I break the same bone, not in the same place. It was much, much higher, but it was 2 inches from my hip. And the doctor said you were 2 inches away from needing a hip replacement. And he also said something, and this was the point of me describing my injury, is the leg, the femur broke to the outside. So it broke toward the outer side of the leg. Had it broken to the inside, your major artery through your body runs through the inside of your thigh. It could have cut that, and I could have, ceased to exist. So I think that's why, for me, Hutchinson's injury is kind of a big deal. It's traumatic. It reminds me of what I went through, and how fortunate that both him and I are. So Hutchinson, man, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to need Brad Holmes to take this thing serious. And if he was on the fence, listen, I don't care what you got to do. Do it for Aidan Hutchinson. The rest of the team has to fight and band together and make this happen. Dan Campbell had to finish the game and coach. Brad Holmes, you've done a fantastic job. Now it's time to keep doing that. Let's do this thing, man. Let's do it for Hutch. Because this injury, don't forget, man, Alex Smith took years to recover. His was much worse, but he took years to recover, man. And he's still dealing with it. But if this man, it can possibly come back to make it to the Super Bowl, Brad Holmes, you make sure we get there. You make sure we get there. That's all I'm saying. So let me know, man, your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts, man. This is fan. I'm just, overall, I'm happy he's okay. I know for a fact he will not take the field if he can't. No doctor, no team, no, even the Lions. This is what I hope. The Lions are known to be very, very careful. But if I'm Detroit, here's what I'm thinking. You get clearance from every doctor. You get the surgeon that performed the surgery. You get the doctors. You get second and third and fourth and fifth opinions. You talk to Hutch and you say, listen, what do you want to do, man? Are you sure about this? Are you sure? And he says, yes. Say, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Maybe he's on a limited snap. Maybe he comes in, make the Super Bowl winning sack. I mean, whatever it is. Of course, they're not going to let him play if he's not ready. No doctor is going to let him play if he's not ready. But could you imagine the fortitude it's going to take? The injury happened. You got to heal and recover for that. You got to get to a point where you can train. You already know Hutch is in bed walking around with that jug, man. You already know. You got to get to that point. And to do all of that in less than 4 months. I will say this. The injury was much more severe than C.J. Gardner-Johnson. But, man, if C.J. Gardner-Johnson can put forth the effort, then I know Aidan Hutchinson can do it. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, not worth it. Hutch is. So if there's anybody that I know can do this, it's him. And I also trust this organization. Trust the doctors that they are not going to let him do anything that's going to put him further at risk. If he can't go, if he's not, listen, the bones heal. That calcium forms around the bone, it heals. He's got hardware in there. So to some extent, it's going to be stronger. So let me know, man. Shout out to Hutch. I know you working hard, man. Just know this. You'll never see this video, but every single Lions fan is thinking about you. We've been thinking about you all week long, and we will continue to think about you for the rest of the season. And we can't wait to see you come back whenever that is. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Took a break from the Max Crosby madness and wanted to talk about our own guys. The guy, to me, he's done what he was brought here to do. Now it's time for Brad to do it too. I'm sorry, y'all. Hutch really got me feeling some type of way. the sacrifice that he made, and we have to get there. No more time for games. No more time for dink and dunk. We have to get there. Let me know your thoughts. This channel is made possible by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.